Okay, so before talking about the actual episode, we have to preface a few things about this review. If you're not interested and just want my opinion, skip here, I'll give you a few seconds. So, as you may have noticed, I actively did not bring up this episode at all when I did my review of Rick Sanchez vs. the Doctor, and the reason for that is not because I was ignoring it the way I ignored Freezertron, Herkong, and Guts Mitri. The reason is because, God, it's really just every name we come up for as a community for matchups is a ship name. The reason is because this episode was, unsurprisingly, hugely controversial just upon its announcement. And while there were plenty reasonable people who disliked it for reasons stemming from a lack of interest, a desire to see other matchups for these characters that brought something new, or a feeling of dissatisfaction at this matchup getting a third go, there were a lot more people being unreasonably vindictive over it, attacking Death Battle for it, claiming they only did it for the revenue that it'd rake up to help Rooster Teeth as it plummets headfirst into the dog shit, and writing off the entirety of it for the mere fact that it existed. And this was really disheartening to see, because while I am all in support of people being allowed to express their opinions, including negative ones, because I think a lot of people who have genuine criticisms to give, and who want to just get out that they aren't interested without having to hide it, should be allowed to do so, and not be treated badly for just having a less positive opinion on something. But there were so many people attacking the character of Death Battle and its creators. Now some of these were jokes, and in a vacuum, that's fine. But there came a point before I even did my review where it was nearly impossible to tell the jokes from the serious criticisms. I call them criticisms. Attacks. This is why when I do my satirical videos, I have progressively had to make them less and less subtle, because as time has gone on, I've needed to exaggerate more to get across that I was doing a satire, because there comes a point where it's indistinguishable to tell between satire and what you're satirizing. When I did my review, a lot of things made up my choice to not talk about it. One of which was that I just didn't want to push more negativity onto the crowd that was hyped. Because just as I think I had the right not to be, they absolutely had the right to be excited, and they didn't deserve to be treated as somehow wrong for feeling as they did. I know that if I had brought up my opinion on the matchup happening, that people who were hyped would be bummed out that I wasn't on their side, and more importantly, I may have even pushed the sheeple behind me to double down on what they were doing. And if I had said I was hyped, well then I would have been lying to my audience, and I don't like doing that. That and the episode that I was talking about was already being overshadowed by the Next Time trailer attached to it, to the point where within a day or two, people had already stopped talking about the episode and only talked about the Next Time. So, well, I just didn't bring it up. Also, I thought it'd be really fucking funny not to talk about the thing that everyone was talking about, and I knew everyone wanted my opinion on. I think my fish just coughed. One more thing about the review, let's talk about the... Okay, so Superman won, and I just want to get it out there, doesn't matter to me. I do not judge an episode on its winner. Shut up, you're not important right now. And I think that no matter what, people would have been upset with the outcome. If Superman had lost, there was already a huge crowd with their ready-to-go tweets about Death Battle just bringing Goku back so he can win to appease the Dragon Ball fans, probably ready to claim that Death Battle was biased as proven by all the times they brought up how much they prefer Goku to Superman, and blah blah blah. Instead, we're in the timeline where people complain that they downplayed Goku again, that Superman was wanked, and that they're biased to DC as always and paid off by Warner Brothers, and they didn't need the episode just to kill Goku again. Which I think really undermines why the episode happened. It didn't happen just so Goku could be killed again. And I find it so weird that the crowd who say that Goku should have won, or else they shouldn't have done a third episode, will also then claim that Death Battle were biased towards Superman. Which, like, do you not understand that doing an episode solely for one character to win is how we got, like, Starscream vs. Rainbow Dash, one of the only actually, arguably, biased episodes that was rigged? They did the episode because it's one of the biggest matchups in all of Versus, right up there with Mickey Mouse vs. Bugs Bunny and Mario vs. Sonic. They did it in celebration in their 10th season of how far they had come, tackling the single biggest episode they had ever done with modern research, animation, writing, and overall standards. Whoever ended up winning did not matter, and it never should matter unless you're making a funny, and this clearly wasn't doing that. So with that in mind, I'm going into this review fully ready to meet the episode on its own terms. I'm not going to project what I wanted to happen instead of a third go of this matchup, but I'm also not going to go in giving it preferential treatment just because the creators made it clear how much passion was there. I'm going to review it like any other episode, and if you have a problem with the fact that I'm neither going in expressly to love it or to shit on it, then too bad. Cry me a river of G Fuel. That's right, it's back, the sponsor of today's video. It's the plant-based antioxidant abundant energy formula you need, entirely free of carbs, calories, and most importantly sugar, because sugar is for losers. Available in a variety of over 50 flavors, that's one for each multiplier Goku gets from Full Power Super Saiyan, and in cans and tubs for all forms of storage and Drinkitude? G Fuel is like your cheat code, in a can! And to show you the power of G Fuel, I played Injustice 2 and soloed Brainiac using only Superman. Do you want to unleash the power of a true epic gaming connoisseur like me? Seen here absolutely folding Jiren as base Goku in Dragon Ball FighterZ? Then click the link in the description and use code BloodRight for 20% off your order. Did I actually just give you a timestamp for the start of the review and put it right before the ad read? Yup. Alright, episode time. The episode begins with the coolest fucking thing in the world. They couldn't put the fight graphic in the animation? Well, yeah, here it is at the start. Right at the Dragon Ball FighterZ reference. I love it. Yes, get me hyped, you maidenless fucks! Again though, the lack of effort test makes the intro feel a bit empty. They did this in Goku vs Superman 2 as well, but they put more emphasis in it so it worked better, and that's literally the only dub that episode will get today. I really like them starting by going over what they'll be tackling for their episode. I actually wouldn't mind this in the future for other characters as well. Goku's analysis is alright. I think it goes over his story, his developing powers, and his techniques fairly well. It breathes some new life, I guess, into the Shockwave feat by re-evaluating the universe model and making it a bigger number. They even directly source where certain statements come from, which is cool. Shout out to whoever put this in, I see you, banger. Goku literally died for his kid, like, what, twice? There's also a direct quote from the original episode in here, though I do prefer the delivery in that original. It's just a lot funnier to me with how over the top music was. I will say, I find it fucking hilarious how they go with the whole, he proved that training can overcome raw talent, and then immediately follow it up with how Goku is just naturally better than almost anyone else because he's a Saiyan. This is also a very minor thing, but when they say Goku doesn't just use ki to blow shit up, they put the emphasis on the wrong word. They don't say it like Goku uses ki for more things than just this. Because they put the emphasis on the word ki instead of to blow shit up, they basically made it sound like they're saying Goku uses other things to blow shit up, which isn't wrong, but it's not what they mean given what directly follows the statement. That's very minor though, otherwise the analysis is good. I'm not really that crazy about it because there's a lot of just stuff we've heard before, but again, yeah, even the whole this is what makes Goku so special spiel was already dropped as recently as Goku Black vs Reverse Flash. I don't remember if it was in Gogeta vs Vegeta. I think the psyching off of Goku in that one was just saying that Gogeta loses because Vegeta is weaker than Goku. I do like the ending bit, the cutaway gag was unintrusive, and the bits about Toriyama himself was neat. Jokes were mostly kind of whatever, but the editing was good as usual. Superman's analysis is what I was interested in though. Not because I prefer Superman to Goku, because I still love Goku, but because he hadn't had anything directly connected to him in an analysis aside from the sneeze again and the infinity speed thing since like season 2. And like they've been gassing up Goku for years, so he was getting respect from this series for ages. Superman though, well, let's see. I love that this analysis actually goes into all the stuff dealing with why this is not actually a composite, but rather that in universe, he is now just a fusion of all these past events. This is really important to me because I was worried that people without knowledge of DC would start shouting at the episode for this after the intro. But no, they explained it. So now it's only people with no knowledge of what words mean that will be shouting at it. They also include the scan of him T-posing a phantom planet out of the Omniverse, which is like my favorite. I do adore them going against the Christ symbolism as well that a lot of people have levied on the Superman. I hate that shit. Massive shout-outs to the editing on this one, unsurprisingly so given like there was no direct visual media of the comics aside from the comics, so they had to animate some things. That solar flare edit, woo! That's nice. I love to see how this edit came together. Even the Infinity feat looks quite nice here, and the Brainiac punch, that's pretty epic. There's also funny edits like the brownies with the My Favorite scan overlaid. Nice. More than anything, they finally gave my boy the respect he deserves. This is what I wanted most. I was not worried about Goku. I knew they gave him the respect he deserves. Everyone loves Goku, but now they've done to Superman too. I really have to shout out that when they tackled World Forger, they didn't just go about it and emphasize its raw power, they emphasized the willpower of Superman, the strength inside it took to be able to push himself beyond the limits he does have to overcome the impossible odds and take down the World Forger. Love Superman's analysis, adore it, and you know Goku's is pretty decent too. But I know, you just want to see me talk about the fight, so let's just get to that. So the fight starts in media res, which, yeah, whatever, okay. We've gotten this fight twice in the past, we don't really need a third setup, and it's clear from how this is going, it's just a friendly spar right now. Would I have preferred it had a proper start? Definitely, but they wanted to fit some more time for cool fighting, and I'm okay with that. This is already a minute longer than most animations this season. It's around Korra Storm length, hilariously enough. The smiles they're giving at the start is all I need though, that's great. This is not a Kiryu vs Mechagodzilla. This is not a Kiryu vs Dragonzord or Weiss vs Mitsuru moment. I love the opening dialogue. Says all you need to know. Goku's here to fight, obviously, he wants to see who's stronger, but he's having a blast. Superman, he's just humoring Goku, he's indulging him, because Superman is the kind of hero to indulge someone like this. There's honestly not a lot to say though at the start here, it's kind of just like punching and fighting, and like that's fine. The look they give each other here is cool. Yeah, not much happens until Goku goes blue. And I do again like the dialogue, Goku telling Superman to stop holding back while he himself is still holding back his super in character. But I really like Superman's response of, yeah, nah, because like, yeah, Superman alleviates the problem you can get with some Dragon Ball fights where a character will match both the lower forms and the higher forms of a single character, and that doesn't really make much sense. But here, no, it's fine, that's just how Superman is. The fight goes to space and we get a cool 1-inch punch, which I like, and Superman backhanding the blaster destroys the moon. It's great. The hilarious expression as he realizes what he's done, the bit of embarrassment he's got going on, and the different reactions they have to it. Goku's not like, yeah, I did that, I'm awesome, but he's like, I didn't mean to. But in his mind, it's easy to remedy with the Dragon Balls. He is worried, but his mind immediately goes to a solution. Superman thinks about the consequences of what he's done, and how much he has to hold back, and how fragile everything is. It's great, it's flawless, it's Superman. And then he stops holding back immediately, for whatever reason, and he punches Goku so hard we get flashes to other versions of the fight. I said the so hard the way I said the Kiryu thing in that one Galaxy Grudge match, fuck. And here we get the cameo bits from Masako and just some random guy, the voice actors from the original 2 episodes, as alternate versions. An amazing set of minor cameos I couldn't be happier about. This one is of course Super Saiyan 4 Goku vs Blue Superman, and then Goku Black vs Ultraman, which is funny because it implies that just some random guy voiced Ultraman instead of Superman. He even says, this looks like a job 4, doesn't say the Superman part. And then there's just the incredibly raw Thought Robot versus Xeno Goku, that looks amazing. Superman also just mopping Blue Goku is great, using his phasing, and I want to say he's referencing the Superboy Prime retcon punch with how it shows the different worlds, and I want to believe that maybe this pose and the slam down may be references to his 2 Injustice Super moves, maybe? Goku just sort of complimenting Clark's suit is... Look, it comes across as a bit weird, but it makes sense when you consider that his suit's not damaged at all while Goku's gi is completely fucked. I love Clark's reaction. It's classic dorky Superman and I'm all for it. And Goku's just punches doing nothing is great, because it makes his immediate jump to Ultra Instinct super raw, as he goes from unable to harm him to doing more damage than he had across the rest of the entire fight. A bunch of mountains die, which is really unfortunate, and we get another Injustice 2/Man of Steel reference, but Goku actually stops it this time, which goes pretty hard. And I am maybe a little sad that Superman doesn't use his own variant of Ultra Instinct in this fight, giving us a battle where they're both moving so autonomously fast they aren't landing a single blow for several seconds straight. But at least we got the Solar Flare. I think it's funny that the fight that happened when the Solar Flare was the new hot shit didn't have it, but the fight that happened long after it became entirely irrelevant did. We even get this blinking new Mystic game of rock, paper, scissors, what? Then Superman flies between all the stars, which is a reference to the World Forger punch, but I don't think they showed that panel in the episode itself. Superman cleans up all the stars in the galaxy and Goku's all for that. Then there's perhaps one of the rawest endings in the show's history. Goku fully transforms into Come Goku as he prepares his Kamehameha, full on Goku vs Vegeta style, which is a lot like the original episode's ending. Goku charges a big fuck off Kamehameha while a sun-dipped Superman charges straight towards him from space. Even the massive clash of fists in the White Void is the same. I really fucking just can't get over how cool it is that Goku shows off his never give up attitude here. The Kamehameha doesn't work, so he Kaioken's, and when that doesn't work, he brings out the Jizz avatar to punch Superman too. Then there's a big boom and reality gives way to the reference room, with a really heartwarming ending. Goku takes his death in stride, which, yeah, makes sense, it's happened a few times. And Superman obviously is aware of this too, because he's not too bothered. They're friendly with each other, they fist bump, they promise to have another fight, but please Death Bell, don't make another one. It's pretty great, but let's go reference hunting. We have Gogeta versus that weird Batman fusion, Superman fusion, I forget the name of, not composite Superman though. There's, arm wrestle, I can't actually tell this one. Superboy versus a young teen Goku from the first half of the manga. DC Animated Universe Superman flying beside Goku on the Nimbus. A shot from the first episode where Goku and Super Saiyan 4 clash with Superman. Super Saiyan God versus Superman Prime 1 million. Goku dressed as Vegeta looking at Superman. Goku and Superman recreating the "Oh, you're approaching me" meme. Muffin reference. Old Goku and Kingdom Come Superman playing bingo. Is that Goku dressed as the Grand Priest wrestling with Dark Crisis Superman? Scooby and Courage dressed as Goku and Superman fighting. Milkman Superman versus AF Super Saiyan 5 Goku. I think this is a shot from Goku vs Superman 2. Fucking Black Suit Superman versus Drip Goku. Hello, Base Department? And then after a fact, I even noticed fucking Ukog is in this. They put Ukog in this. This is the best scene in the history of Death Battle. Yeah, the fight's pretty great, complemented with the really good vocal performances. Michael Kovac captures Goku very well. Every delivery is dripping with Goku's lovable character. He's such a lad. And Xander Mobius as well gets across the dorky, loving nature of Superman flawlessly. I don't think there's a single delivery I don't love in some regard, aside from the no regrets line. That one's kinda just whatever. But every other line is an undeniable banger. This episode loves these two, and I love to see that. The animation is gorgeous, the effects are especially stunning, though the solar flare looks a little flat to me, but that might just be me. Everything else looks great. And the music, super, pretty damn good. It's hard to say whether I like this more than Alive, but I think I'd have to say yes, because I only really like the first half of Alive. It loses me when it gets into the rap segment, while Super bangs the whole way through. The fight is amazing, and I want to give it credit without comparing it to the original, because to me they're doing different things. But we're going to have to talk about the original. The original Goku vs Superman shows us a fight where they don't know each other at all, and Superman was kind of just blindsided by Goku, which to be fair, I do think is a reasonable start to their fight, though not the one I prefer. The fight is about Goku really being into it while Superman is just trying to not destroy anything and stop this weird fight guy that's coming after him. Where that episode excels over this one is its length and choreography. While this episode's choreography is fine, the original made way more use of their powers, the many techniques of Goku and his transformations, giving us progression with a lot of really cool moments to show how Goku is getting stronger as he gets into higher forms, until finally in Super Saiyan 4 he's able to put Superman on the back foot. That is what the first episode is all about. This episode just isn't doing that, it's going for a friendly spar between the two. They're having a good time in this one. Goku only uses 3 forms and only transforms twice in the episode. Because this one isn't about seeing Goku rise up to an unstoppable force until he can finally harm it. It's about seeing Goku having fun while Superman stops going easy on him, and then seeing Goku go at his best too to match it. The episode is more about mindless fast action fun, and I'm okay with that. I don't need this to be like the first episode. My preference just comes down to what I find more interesting in animation as an approach, as opposed to which one I think is better overall. In that regard, I just prefer the approach of the original episode, though I think the optimal one would be a blending of the character interactions and animation quality of this episode with that episode's choreography and approach. That would be my ideal, but that's obviously not what we got, and I'm happy about that. I didn't want Goku vs Superman, but again. And what I got was Goku vs Superman, but from a different angle, and that's perfect. This episode may not be an all-time favorite for me. I think it has some problems, but they're not huge ones. But it's an all-time favorite for a lot of people. Who am I to spoil their fun? Sure, I can go over my issues. I think a lot of the choreography is a bit dull. It's not bad, but there's not much spicing up a lot of the just them throwing hands part of the fight. It's serviceable, but I don't remember as many sequences in this animation. Like, I have very little to say about a good quarter or more of it, because it's like, yeah, he sure did punch and kick him. That is a nice camera angle. It's just not capturing me. Again though, that's only like a bit more than a quarter at best. Most of this animation is banging. But for the most part, it just didn't really click with me. I don't know, it's hard to put into words. I just think that I've seen enough pure character punching action over more than a decade of this series. It just doesn't entice me anymore. This episode does have those character moments I crave, and that's awesome, but when it comes to creative usage of their powers and abilities, this animation doesn't do that. I think that's why I will always prefer the first one. But as I said, this is less a matter of actual quality and more so just a preference of approach. Of course this one doesn't bother with, oh, how creatively can we have these powers interact? It's not about that. This is about capturing the fun of the hobby, the fun of just seeing characters who have never and may never interact, having it and just having out and just bludgeoning each other. Let's be honest, most of the time we picture a fight between characters in our head, a lot of it is just mindless punch kick swing whack action, all of which is in between the crazy power interactions that make you think more. And capturing that, I think the episode is pretty damn good. I know this is meant to be seen as separate and not attached to the original episode, but to me, I can't help but attach them in some way. I kind of see these two episodes as capturing two different sides of the community. The original episode captures that kind of amateurish, just here to talk about characters thing, gushing over absurd shit they've done, and then later coming up with all sorts of wacky ways for their various weapons, powers, and weaknesses to interact. The new episode captures the more nuanced approach of analyzing a character's feats and skills and actively going to compare them to the best of our abilities, but also just the mindless fun of having characters we like beating each other up. You can almost see them as inverses of one another, where one has a more fun-loaded and mindless analysis with an animation that offers as much creativity and complexity as it can, the other has a more complex and nuanced analysis with more to say, with a fight that's just pure enjoyment and entertainment value. And when I look at these episodes this way, that only makes each one better. Looking back to the past can be worth more than just reliving nostalgia, remembering mistakes, and laughing at what once was. Sometimes it can also put things into perspective. Death Battle has come a long way, and seeing these two side by side really emphasizes that. You can see how things have changed, and that's important, it really is, but I see two different pieces of the versus debating puzzle. This community can be hot dog shit sometimes. This episode made light of that especially, but when it's good, it really is good. There are groups within this community and people I've met and gotten close to who mean the world to me. People I see as some of my closest friends, bordering on a second family. This hobby means so much, it really does. And while this investment into it is a double-edged sword, that means I get hit more when things are bad. When things are great, they're really great. I can't imagine where I'd be if I hadn't gotten into this, though maybe I was always destined. I was raised on films like King Kong vs Godzilla and Mothra vs Godzilla. I had so many toys from other series, it was natural for me to think about who wins when they fight. Getting into this hobby is how I met great friends like Biffweed, Donovan, and Rena. Too many for me to even think about naming. I was gonna try, but fuck that, there's too many. I've had so much fun talking with them, be it in public servers or in private DMs, in laughing and enjoying myself recording predictions and reactions back when I did those. It was through this hobby that I created Not Death Battle and poured my heart into so many passion projects over the course of years, improving my own skills as an editor, as an animator, both by looking at what I wanted, but also through being able to look at what I think didn't work in Death Battle and applying that criticism to my own productions. Some of the things I'm most proud of having done are directly because of this show, that I made because of this community. Ironically enough, because I was annoyed with this community's reductive view on seeing every Versus show as a rip-off of Death Battle, and wanted to make something that had the name of a Death Battle rip-off but was different in approach, tone, and meaning, and that's blossomed into a series I work on all the time whenever I'm free. I've tackled matchups I love, that I've memed, that people have requested of me, and I'm not here to just promote my show, but I'm talking about this thing I made and I'm proud of that came about because of this community. This channel exists because of my love for this hobby, and you know, every now and again, there is just that episode of Death Battle that reminds me why I love it, that reminds me of that. And this episode, well, it didn't do it alone, but the perspective gained from looking at these two side by side, how things have changed, what they represent, what they do and don't do that the other does and doesn't do, when I think about how far I've come, when I think about how I was back in the early days of this community that I've been in since the day Death Battle uploaded its first episode, remembering the hype I felt for this one, arguing with people, not just online but in person, about how I thought Superman should win. And how I am here, now, sitting on my computer in the boiling heat of a different house with different friends, older and I hope slightly wiser, with an audience of over 30,000 supporters who have watched and loved the things that I have made over all this time. I just can't help but feel something. I'm not exactly competent with my emotions, you know, I really struggle to understand and control them, and I've been like this since I was a kid. Who I am is a question I don't think I'll ever be able to answer, because it's not got an answer that my brain can really get. But if I can be happy about anything about the many elements and puzzle pieces that come together into this weird being that is me, is that through the worst of this hobby, I will always have people who make it worth it in the end. Those who are like family, like my closest friends, and even all of you who watch and support me. I can get annoyed. I do get annoyed. When works I put a lot of time into, like my recent uploaded Ruby Abridged, or an upcoming video on Fate I expect to bomb, don't get a lot of views, I understand. That's not what people are here for. But when I do get those views, I'm reminded that, yeah, there are people who watch it for me. It almost makes me able to accept it. A lot of creators end up like me in a content bubble, reduced to singular topics that they have been supported for, and that can be draining. It can put you in a horrible state of mind to think about how you're constrained, and the fact that Biffweed was able to break out of his and get views on other stuff is great. Brings me a lot of joy, though not as much joy as it probably brings him, even if you couldn't hear it in his voice. But hey, that's what we love about him, isn't it? That bubble isn't something I can break out of. But maybe I should look at it all from a different perspective, the way this episode looks at this matchup from a different perspective. Instead of seeing the low views on some of my content and seeing that as a sign of how much people don't really care about the stuff I make, maybe I should look at the high views from content that does get views and realize that it's not just people who want to hear an opinion on Death Battle, it's also a lot of people who want to hear my opinion on Death Battle. They could have gone to anyone to hear their own opinions validated, and I'm sure some people are like that, but some people just want to know what I think, to see my perspective, and maybe that's okay. I won't ever be fully content with being trapped in this bubble, and unable to get much support on a majority of my passion projects, but that even some can do well, that does mean the world to me. This episode of Death Battle is fantastic. Is it an absolute favorite for me? Personally, no. Is it a highlight of the season for me? Probably not, but is it good? Absolutely. It's better than good. It's great, and I hope from the bottom of my heart that people who adore this episode can adore it for the rest of Death Battle's lifespan. And you know, to people who don't like the episode, and I should say reasonably don't like it, not the people who dislike it out of some principle or perceived moral high ground, or because Goku lost, or because they think that Death Battle is bad, but people who genuinely just have problems with the episode that they think outweigh the things they like, that's fine too. I don't want to see people who just don't feel the same way be forced to lie about how they feel to avoid being dogpiled on. I've seen that happen before. My problem is just from people who make something moral out of it, or dislike it out of some principle, or for things unrelated to the actual episode itself. Some would consider that too thin a line to draw. And you know, those people probably know something about thin things given the thickness of their skin and inability to accept that I don't think an episode should get hated for nothing but who won, or the fact that they have projected their own self-righteous desire to be proven right onto an episode that disagrees with them. Please, anyone who does dislike this episode for genuine, don't be ashamed about that. Don't be ashamed if it just didn't click with you or anything. And anyone who loves and adores this episode, fucking have a good time. That's great. Either side is fine. I want people who met this episode on its own terms to feel however they feel about it, as long as their preconceived notions of its quality don't paint the entire canvas of their feeling. This episode is a marvel, ironically enough, and I'm genuinely so happy it exists. I've been on quite the journey, from not interested and outright unhappy to miserable at the fan response to rising in hope at it to admiring what it is at the end. To some of my friends, this is among the best episodes ever made, and to some, it's just okay, nothing too amazing. I think either side deserves to exist, in the same way that either episode deserves to exist, not you though. Alright, anyway, that conclusion was pretty great, yeah? Went over things well, gave Goku the respect and props he does get, misspells the word potentially, it's all here. It's long and concise, goes over things bit by bit in a way I love, and with both infinite and also finite gaps covered. Weird to show Z Broly instead of Super Broly though. They even actually used the word immeasurable. Insane. I love them going into more things than that, though I do find it weird that Wiz talks about this being a debate of ideologies and then goes, from that perspective, who wants Goku to lose? Which, like, that implies that nobody is on the side of Superman here, or on like Western belief. It is weird. Because a lot of the people who would be like, I support Eastern beliefs, it's like, they're not Easterners? And like, there's always going to be something a little weird about that. Oh my god, this is starting to sound political. I don't want that. Back up, back up, back up. Personally, in a battle of ideologies, I don't care. I was raised as both a Westerner and as an Easterner, even if I was bullied for what I was to the point of only recently building back the confidence to accept who I am as an Asian. But going over things like the arguments of reduction of characters is just power sets, and the fact that interpretations is everything, I think was neat. And as usual, Boomstick is the based one, making a good point, which is a point that I put into a video kind of recently, and it's a coincidence, I'm aware, but I do just love this ending page too, which I think is fan art, but I do think it got credited. It feels like Superman is the winner smiling to us, the audience, as Wiz and Boomstick have some sort of childish argument with the piano in the back. Something about it is so wholesome to me. I get the energy of, this is Superman seeing us watching this, thanking us for watching, for being there with this show for so long, looking down at Wiz and Boomstick and chuckling to himself because he can tell just how close they are as friends based on how they argue. This episode, it's so unusual for me to gush over something that I don't feel that strongly about, but this episode does mean something, and that is something I've wanted to say. And the next time is Galactus vs. Unicron. I can't even pretend to take credit for predicting this one. I mean, fucking everyone did, right? It's season 10. Was anybody even surprised? Probably a few, but I imagine not too many. I certainly wasn't. Please, Transformers community, don't be insufferable this time. You're not going against the equally or even more insufferable Dragon Ball fandom this time. You don't have anything to prove, okay? But Jesus Christ, is everyone other than me getting some thank you in this season or what? One day when King Arthur shows up, one day they'll come to me, or Fate. Get me on board for Fate. Maybe I'll actually be able to enjoy the episode. I've played a lot of Fate Grand Order and never spent a cent on it. That's right, I've got some of the best servants in the game, fucking Merlin, Kyantia, Oberon. I got them in Fate Grand Order. I got Gilgamesh. I didn't pay a cent. Get owned, Wales! Anyway, yeah, please be good. The shots we saw look really good so far, though Galactus, I can't tell if he's admiring someone's drip or just smell a really nasty fart. Wow. Okay, that was that. I'm amazed by how many people thought I wasn't gonna review this or like even watch it. But because like when it came to the last times that happened, I like explained that I wouldn't beforehand or something like that. This time I didn't. I just kept silent about my thoughts on the matchup till like the last minute before it came out, and people just assumed. But I guess that's interesting. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed and liked the review. I kind of went a bit off the rails at a point there and started rambling about other things, but I hope you got the whole point that this episode did make me think a bit. about everything, which I guess like that is good, because that is like half the purpose, is to show how far Death Battle has come, and I think that it's a great job at that. I think everyone who worked on it should be immensely proud of what they've done. Phenomenal work, everybody. And I don't need to do my normal, tell me what you think, tell me what you don't think down below, because like, I mean, I did that literally in the scripted part of this. So thank you for my patrons scrolling by right now, all legends, including the ones who are not part of the not legend tier. You're still legends in my heart. And if you're there, you can get access to my patron only Discord, where you can make me say stupid things at the end of videos like this. Yeah. Alright. I haven't read any of this because I pinged everyone overnight. Alright, Superman, today's fight's gonna be at Tilted Towers! Oh man, I hoped it was gonna be Tomato Town today. Don't worry, we'll do that after we hit the gritty and crank 90s on Galactus. Hey, it's me, Goku! The least posh English accent. That's like trying to tell me to do a non-drunk Australian accent. How do I do a not, see like, I do an English accent, I immediately try to get as posh as possible. I can't. Can you stop throwing shit, because everyone's gonna go home. Is that the best? Like, that might be the best I can manage. Biff, you live... Oh, wait, no, you don't live in England, do you? You live in Wales. There's only one way that this battle's gonna end. One more Superman who's never gonna walk again. Oh, that didn't end well. I guess, like, my rap battle, like, recap with, Rick Doctor was enjoyable enough, because people want me to do it again. Fine. Epic rap battles of history, Goku vs Superman, begin. Who can stop this constipated jock with the awful animation and the complicated plots? Who's got the rap bombs to drop on Japan? This looks like a job for the OG Superman. I'm killing it, you're krilling it. I'm villainous to vegetables, who dance around in hammer pants and hide their tiny genitals. My level is incredible, I'm out of your league. You want justice? I'll bust this nut up in your chi-chi. Greasy Slick MC from DC. One breath will freeze your whole measly species. You're primitive and limited. You live in a village of idiots. Step into Metropolis, I'll snap a carrot, period. How many times are they gonna rewrite your stories? Your powers have been boring since the 1940s. Defeat me with heat beams? You're crazy, because I'm a Super Saiyan, you're a flying Miss Daisy. You're pretty pasty to be powered by the sun. You can't float a sun, Goku. I Kaio can get it done. When I see your movies, all I do is watch the clock, because there's nothing fun about a superhero scared of green rocks. Look out those pantyhose. You got that camel toe. I'll report to Lois Lane, then Superman that hoe. Your rapping is weaker than your fight scenes. Just one punch and over 9,000 screams. I'll make your nose bleed like Roshi sniffing panties. From Z to GT, you can Dragon Ball these. Don't lecture me about fights, you Cape Coward. You got your ass beat by a bat with no powers. There's only one way this battle's gonna end. One more Superman who's never gonna walk again. Who won? Who's next? You decide. Epic rap battles of history. Fortnite! I'm not singing Chug Jug. I'm not singing Chug Jug. Or do you guys want me to sing it in the voice of Unicron as like its own separate video? Huh. Yeah, okay, that was all of it. Most of that was just the rap battle. I honestly thought there'd be more. I gave people the whole time I was sleeping. And if they got a, I mean, if Biffweed can come in soon enough to make me say something, then that means everyone else is just slow. Alright, bye everyone. Hope you have a good one.